the current worries of global warming and air pollution, we need innovation to limit our negative effects on air quality. Vehicle exhaust alone is responsible for over 50% of the dangerous pollutants in our air. A failed innovation exists that could have prevented Calgary from ever looking like this, and kept it pristine, like this. I'm talking about public or mass transportation. I'm going to focus on subways and commuter trains and why they failed to gain the popularity in North America that they experience in other areas of the world. The first public transportation were ferries, which date back thousands of years. In the 1700s, stagecoaches were introduced, but did not become popular until the 1820s. The first streetcars were used in Wales in the 1700s. They were horse-drawn carts that looked like large stagecoaches and ran down the streets. The first city-run public transportation was developed here in Nantes, France in 1826, and in 1829 one was established in London, England. In New York City, North America's first public transportation was started in 1827 in the form of an omnibus, which is very similar to a streetcar. Canada's first system was in Toronto in 1849, operated by Williamson Omnibus. By the turn of the century, almost all American cities larger than 2,500 people had an electric tram system of one kind or another. Public transportation was brought to Asia by colonization and did not become popular until the 1890s. However, despite being 70 years behind Europe and America, today Asia has some of the most advanced and accessible public transportation in the world. Both Europe and Asia have far superior systems to North America. I'm going to take you on a quick tour of some systems around the world. We'll start in Europe with London's Tube, which services the 13 million people in London, England. Frankfurt, Germany has only 670,000 people, but look how extensive their system is. Off to Asia with Tokyo, Japan. Metro population almost 13 million. This is one of the most efficient and extensive public transportation systems in the world. Osaka, Japan. Population 2.6 million. Now we hop the pond over to North America. New York City has the best transit system in North America, and less than half of the 20 million residents own their own cars. But look at Los Angeles, population of almost 18 million, 5 million more than Tokyo. And Las Vegas, its one line and 7 stops service its 1.8 million residents. Canada's best system is in Toronto, servicing the metro population of 5.5 million. And finally, I'm sure you all recognize Calgary's C-Train, which services the 1 million people in our city. With the exception of New York, I hope you can see the lack of infrastructure present here in North America. So the question is, why did such a popular and efficient innovation fail? In the 1920s, 90% of travel was done by rail, mostly on electric trams or subways. It all began with those evil car companies. With assembly lines to pump out cars quickly, more cars were available every day. In 1929, GM believed that everyone who would buy a car already had one, so the best way to sell more cars was to create demand by eliminating competition. They determined that the public transportation system was their biggest threat. National City Lines, or NCL, was created as a holding firm in 1936 as a joint venture between GM, Firestone Tire, Standard Oil of California, and Phillips Petroleum. Do you see a link between them? They all have interest in selling cars. NCL began acquiring tram systems across America, from LA to Philadelphia and in between. They acquired over 100 lines and immediately began to dismantle them. These lines were replaced with inefficient buses, operating on limited routes to encourage people to buy their own vehicles. The government was even lobbied to build better roads to support the so-called American dream of freedom on wheels. Eventually, 9 companies and 7 individuals were charged with conspiracy to create an illegal monopoly and eliminate competition, but it was too late. The damage was done. The North American transportation system has never been able to recover. The innovation was great, It was efficient, had infrastructure, capital support, and users. The failure was due to illegal moves by competitors to eliminate a threat. Sometimes good innovations fail because of greed.